Okay, the May 16th meeting of the Board of Education is now called to order. Please stand for the invocation. O God, we pray to administer that which is just in all educational policies, being ever mindful of your guidance, stir us to action with love, wisdom, and understanding. The pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 2.03 is approval of the minutes. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes?
So moved.
All right, we have a second? Second. All those in favor? Okay, minutes stand. Item 2.04 is establish agenda order. Mr. Gilliland.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the board take item 5.05, superintendent's contract, out of order and act on that item after the Krask report.
Okay, all those in favor? Okay, the item 5.05 will be moved to after item 2.07. All right, item 2.05 is recognitions, and there are no recognitions today. Item 2.06 is school and community highlights. Mr. Reinhardt.
Thank you, Madam President. Here in Anne Arundel County Public Schools, we have so many things to be proud of and the amazing things that our students do, and I'd like to share one of those things right now. Our students from Phoenix Academy submitted a hamburger recipe to Iron Rooster in Annapolis, and they have been selected as one of 3 finalists for their hamburger contest. And you can vote online through the Iron Rooster Facebook page. And the winning hamburger, which we know already is going to be Phoenix Academy, but the winning hamburger, winning winner gets either 100 hamburgers that they don't have to eat at once, or they make a $1,000 charitable contribution to a group of their choice. So encourage everybody to go out and support our students from Phoenix Academy. Thank you.
Mr. Butcher.
Do we have any samples of those tonight?
We'd have to report that on our ethics form.
Ms. Corvalette.
It's been a busy couple of weeks. We're entering busy season. I had the opportunity to go with Mrs. Humbert to the Odenton Elementary School PTA meeting to talk about the budget, and then roll on to the budget hearing at North County High School earlier this week. Also had a chance to go down to South River High School and talk to some STEM students on Crab Radio about redistricting and how we handle that here in the county, and that was just a really fun afternoon for me. And then last night we got to go to Cat North for their senior award or student award ceremony and just learn about all the wonderful things the kids are doing at Cat North.
Mr. Gilliland.
Thank you, Madam President. I just would like to echo certainly what Mrs. Korbelak said about Cat North. Being there last night with her, Dr. Arlato, Dr. Lucarelli, and Ms. Kremer, I think was just an honor and certainly to see the students who progressed through last night. And then certainly hats off to Mr. Schaffhauser, who I think is just an awesome principal and who's providing great leadership at Cat North. But I also want to say congratulations to Severna Park Elementary School and their PTA. Last Friday night, they held their annual spring fair, which was very successful. There were quite a few hundred people there. My wife and my daughter were able to be there with me, and we just had a great time. So congratulations to Severna Park Elementary School.
And yesterday, Ms. Sasso and I went to the senior award ceremony for Cat South and got to see that, and it's always incredibly impressive to see all of the certifications these kids have earned, and they're ready to go enter the workforce right away. I always come away feeling like I was not very accomplished when I was 17, but I see what all they've already done. So it was a great afternoon there. I also attended the band concert for Corcoran Middle School and Glen Burnie High School, which was great. The Corcoran Middle School band is literally so large they're about to take over, too big for the stage. So it's great to see how the band programs are growing in the lower grades to have that. So that time of year when we're wrapping up with all the concerts and award ceremonies and graduations, and it's nothing but celebrations from here on out, so it's great fun. So, and now we will move on to the CRASC report. Mr. Curran. Mr. Curran, I believe, is this your last night meeting for us? Ah.
Good evening, President Hummer, members of the board, and Dr. Arlato. My name is Connor Curran, and I'm the Secretary of Education of CRASC. Since my last CRASC report, we elected Josie Rhea as our next student member of the board. She will be sworn in on July 3rd. On Monday night at the County Council budget hearing, CRASC is very pleased with the amount of student speakers voicing their opinion on what matters and their concerns that they have about the proposed budget. On May 21st, we will hold officer elections for the 2018-19 school year. CRASC wishes the best of luck to all the candidates. Tonight is my last board meeting as Secretary of Education. My term as Secretary of Education has been one with many memories that I will never forget. This year's began with student concerns regarding our freedom of speech and sending off our beloved advisor, Ms. Poison, and welcoming our current advisor, Ms. Pelgrin, to giving condolences to the families in our county who lost their students' lives in tragedy, advocating for better learning environment for the LGBTQ community, and taking this position on the budget, to addressing tragedy in this county and in our own state, to supporting students taking action in our community, to electing a student board member. And now this, my final take on agenda item 2.07. 1 year ago, I was elected Secretary of Education. I've enjoyed all 525,600 minutes of it. Yes, I sat down and did the math. I am sad to leave this position, but I promised I am not gone. For the final time, thank you for the opportunity to represent students of Anne Arundel County.
Thank you, Connor.
Connor, you have done a fabulous job over the past year. I remember meeting when you were in you were just but a middle schooler. While this may be your last representing CRASC as the Secretary of Education, we know there's a lot more to come from Connor in the years to come. You have represented CRASC magnificently, and you've represented the student voice even more so. So we really thank you for everything you've done. You've done a fabulous job.
Thank you, Dr.
All right. Item 5.05 is an action item, the superintendent's contract. On February 21st, 2018, the Board of Education unanimously reappointed Superintendent George Arlato to a second four-year term contingent upon the parties agreeing on a new contract and the state superintendent's approval of the reappointment as required by law. The state superintendent subsequently approved Dr. Arlato's reappointment, and he and the board have reached terms on a new agreement. If approved, this new contract will take effect July 1st, 2018. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Ms. Corbelak.
I was going to make the motion.
So, all right. Are there any board comments? Ms. Nally.
Undertook the superintendent search. Ms. Corbelak, myself, and former board member Kevin Jackson were on the search committee, and it was really, really a long, in-depth process. But I will tell you, in every single facet, Dr. Arlato stood out. Not just because we knew him, but when he was compared nationally, that spoke volumes. One person said to us, "You will never work with anyone more honest." George Arlato is honest, and you can, if he says it, it's what he is. It's true. It's the truth. And you know, over the last 4 years, I've found that to be the case. Dr. Arlato has faced a lot of challenges. I'm the longest serving board member, so I know the challenges that have been under the previous superintendent, and he has really risen to the occasion. I am so proud in November when I go out that I feel confident that we are blessed with having Dr. Arlato for another 4 years, and I can look with confidence that our school system will continue to do well. Thank you very much.
Ms. Korbelak.
I just wanted to add to what Mrs. Nally had to say. I know when we went through the search, I often said to colleagues at work that I felt like I had the weight of Anne Arundel County on my shoulder and the shoulders, all of us did, to get that decision right. And I know we got that decision right, and it's really an honor to be here to be able to reappoint you and approve your contract. The man sitting before us is really the CEO of a $1 billion corporation. It's a thankless job at times, but in many other times, it's a joyful job. And we have a dedicated public servant here and a man of the highest integrity. And I'm so glad that you're going to stay for another 4 years.
Mr. Gilliland.
Thank you again, Madam President. A couple of comments, but first I want to say thank you to both Mrs. Nally and Mrs. Korbelak for serving on the contract renewal committee and putting in the countless hours that they both did. But then also, I think what's important for us too, because they are the only two board members who were here during the last contract and the last search. They were able to offer a lot of knowledge share for us, and I do appreciate that as well. On Dr. Arlotto specifically, I must say I've had the privilege of serving on the board with two superintendents. Dr. Parham, who this building's named after, was superintendent when I was the student board member, and I learned a great deal from her. She was an early mentor for me during that year, and that has stayed with me for many years since. And serving for the last 2+ years now with you has been also an honor of a lifetime. I know you're an educator at heart, and I continue to learn from you, and appreciate that. And I do appreciate our candid conversations, even when we disagree from time to time. You defend your position well. But what I do respect, probably above all, is that you lead a team well. And whether it's the staff in this building, the countless administrators throughout the school system, our great principals, and then certainly our awesome teachers, I think you lead a team very well with great vision. There always seems to be a North Star, and you help provide that compass to get us to that North Star. So I look forward to what the next 4 years will bring, and certainly your vision and the execution on that vision, and I'm just thankful to have some small part, to be a part of it, so thank you.
Mr. Butcher.
Okay, so probably the shortest tenure on the board is myself. And since I got appointed in February, I've heard some folks that have been critical about some of the decisions that you've made. I've heard a lot of folks compliment you on some of the steps, directions that you've done. But what's been most impressive isn't necessarily what's happened during the board meetings. It's what I've seen in the community. And even people that have been critical of you, you have listened. And that's very impressive. And I echo what's been already put out there in terms of the staff. I've been very impressed going to some of the community events. And when I see the administration, the leadership out there engaged in the community, talking with the community, even if the community doesn't necessarily agree with a particular approach. So only had a few months with you, but I'm very impressed. And so good luck over the next 4 years.
Ms. Sasso.
Dr. Arlotto, I want to personally thank you for all the hours you put on behalf of AACPS, because it's not only from what I have seen the hours that are required, but all of these functions that you do attend. But above all, as I have gone to the different NSBA meetings, it's really funny talking to other board members. I have made a point of just discussing the fact that our board, each board member, has the ability, and we are scheduled with meeting with you once a month. To have some other board members tell me, oh no, that's utterly ridiculous because you would take a side with the superintendent. So I just sort of looked at them and said, how do you create a relationship with a person unless you personally meet with them and discuss the issues? And one of the issues that is my commitment to the minority that you have worked with me along, anytime I have gotten a call about a student and a problem, most of them have been Hispanics, and I have called you, there has always been a follow-up, there has always been an answer, and you have always been there for our students and the minorities in this county. Thank you, Dr. Alaro.
Mr. Reinhardt.
Thank you, Madam President. As we heard about on this contract, what stands out to me is the stability that we're bringing to our district. We've seen in our neighboring large districts some of the challenges that superintendents and CEOs have. We are incredibly fortunate. I'm not going to be able to remember what I said before. We're incredibly fortunate to have that stability, and we're proud to welcome you as one of the most tenured superintendents in the state of Maryland at this point. And I would also like to and I would also like to personally thank you for paying your taxes. So thank you very much.
I don't know how to follow that. Well, I want to add one thing that Dr. Arlotto does very well is that he is a very good judge of people, and he has surrounded himself with an amazing team of people who do great things. And hats off to all of you because you make him look good. But that's a real testament to his leadership that he's able to get such talented, great people around him. And another thing that always stands out, for those of us who work with children, know that they don't always make the best decisions. But that is our job as educators, is to help them to learn from that so they can make better decisions. And I hear Dr. Arlotto say again and again that we will never condemn children. We may condemn their actions, but we are going to remember that they are children and that we are working, and that is our goal, and our purpose is to educate them so that they will be better people. And so I appreciate that as a mother and as an educator, that we always remember that it's the children first, and we're never going to blame them for things. It's our job to help them. So, and are there any other comments from the board? Ms. Cole.
I didn't want to be left out of the party, so I joined. From the student perspective, I commend you for valuing the student's opinion and never knocking down a child for being young, and developing relationships and knowing that we have a close relationship and that I'm not the only student who has a relationship like this with you. And even though I won't be here for the next 3 years, I'll be up in Vermont in college. I can't wait to see other board members sitting in my seat over the next 3 years to also develop that relationship with you as well.
Now, for a public comment, Colleen Ireland.
Good evening. Last month, the Department of Education and Office for Civil Rights opened 2 Title IX investigations of the Anne Arundel County Public School District. One for sexual harassment, the other for sexual violence. As you, Dr. Arlotto, know, as well as this entire board, since December of 2017, one of the investigations concerns my daughter. As the CEO of a $1 billion corporation, why are you not actively addressing and investigating the pervasive sexual bullying and violence in your schools? If you were in any other industry, public or private, you and all responsible administrators would have been fired immediately for inaction. So why are you here? I'd like to know. Why are you here? Why are you leading this school district? Because you certainly weren't there for my daughter when we needed you. In fact, the only time that you reached out to me was to send me a letter from your legal counsel telling me that you didn't like the profanity in my emails. Well, guess what? If I distributed what was hurled at my daughter and me under the supervision of Jim Todd, the current principal of Broadneck High School.
We're not going to, you cannot be talking about personnel.
Okay, well, then I'll step back. I won't be talking about that. But I would like to know, why weren't you there for my daughter? You knew. You knew. And you allowed the sexual harassment and bullying to continue. So please tell me why, as a mother, as a parent, as a tax-paying citizen of this community, why I should support your salary.
Thank you, Ms. Ireland. This is not a question and answer time. So, is there any other public comment on the superintendent's contract? Ms. Shore.
Sorry, I had another meeting before this, so I owe you a card saying I was going to speak. I just want to say that we're very fortunate to have Dr. Arlotto as our superintendent. I know we don't always agree when you've got 84,000 kids that you're responsible for. Not everyone's going to have the same opinion. But I do feel that your passion for children shines through. Your respect for children shines through. Your ability to have conversations with people, especially children, in a respectful way, I highly value. And you set the tone for our entire school system. And adults set the tone for how children are going to treat each other. So I just wanted to say that I, for one, am very thankful that you are here, and I hope you continue. Thank you.
Is there any other public comment? Come forward.
So I'd just like to ask the board and actually everybody in the room here, and you've made it clear that this is a Q&A session, so it'll be one directional. So there's actually two CEOs in this country.
Can you please give your name?
My name is John Lashke. There are two CEOs in this country that represent two very opposite ends of the spectrum. One is Kevin Johnson, and the other is Travis Kalanick. Travis Kalanick is the ex-CEO of Uber. There's a reason why he's the ex-CEO of Uber. Kevin Johnson is the current CEO. Hold on.
Is this about the contract?
It is, actually. So I'm getting there. Kevin Johnson is actually the CEO of Starbucks. Both companies were involved recently in sexual bias and racial bias events. And there's a difference between the way the two CEOs handled themselves and their companies. One CEO, your CEO, traveled across the country from my hometown of Seattle, went to Philadelphia, and sat down with the victims of the racial bias. And he's done the same thing for the victims of sexual harassment. The other CEO, Travis Kalanick, of Uber, did nothing. Where's Travis? Travis is no longer working for Uber. Kevin Johnson is still working for Starbucks and is respected. All right? So this isn't a question. You need to decide where you want to fall in that spectrum. Do you want to be Kevin Johnson, or do you want to be Travis Kalanick? And I'm going to tell you, we just moved from a major West Coast public school district. I'm going to tell everybody here, wake up. This school district operates like it's 1980. This is 2018. Wake up.
All right. So, all those in favor of approving Dr. Arlotto's contract for the next 4 years?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes 8-0.
Thank you. So I am, it'll be no surprise to you and my team that it makes me very uncomfortable. One, to have you lengthen the board meeting to talk about me, and two, that you're talking about me. But I appreciate your continued confidence in me, and really it's continued confidence in this incredible team. I know my limitations well, and so I have surrounded myself by an incredible group of people that care every day about children, and that's our focus each and every day. We have challenges every day, as any school district in the country does, but I think we rise to those challenges, and we rise to those challenges because we continue to focus on children. So I've been honored and humbled to have been your superintendent for the past 4 years. I look forward with great enthusiasm and eagerness to attack the next 4. I think this is a school system on the verge of doing some incredible things on behalf of children. That's because we've got kids that just amaze me every day. We've got dedicated parents that care about public education. We've got a community that cares, and we have a staff that loves what they do each and every day. And so I follow their lead. And so I'm honored to be with you for another 4 years. So thank you.
We are looking forward to it. So, give you the night off. So, next is public comment. I have 2 names, Robert Silkworth and Barbara Algire. I hope I'm saying that correctly. That's correct.
Good evening, President Hummer, Vice President Gilliland. Some of you might remember that from last time. And Dr. Arlotto, I really didn't know about the contract approval, but I came prepared anyway. That's my applause button. Distinguished board members, my name is Robert Silkworth, and I am here this evening representing the TAC High School Concerns Committee. Our May meeting was held on the 9th of May. The ASI TAC Advisory Group met on the 19th of April. We did have some concerns or recommendations about our half-day PD experiences this year, lost class time as a result of large number of field trips, expectations concerning duty hours for the next school year, as well as the 6 teacher days which will occur before the beginning of the next school year. We did have some productive discussions also about the status of SLOs and the strategic plan in which all means all. We did also talk about the importance of the recent budget hearings. Attendance at the hearing at North County clearly sent the message that we are all concerned about where we are and where we need to be next year. We certainly await the final results, and we are hopeful that the funding source will see fit to meet the real needs of our school system. Stress is a key word in high schools today. Students, teachers, and staff are very stressed as a result, in part, of testing and the winding down of the school year. I do believe that we could do a little bit of a better job of minimizing the stress and maximizing student achievement. I think it's a conversation that we should be having with everyone in order to help come up with some strategies to help our students and our staff cope. Now, on a very positive note, under the direction of Dr. Arlotto, there are so many great stories about student achievement in our schools. Great things have been happening in Anne Arundel County, both in the classroom and outside of the classroom. We can and should all be very proud of our students in schools. From my standpoint, this year we have had many productive opportunities to collaborate, and we have not always agreed, but we have always agreed to communicate with one another in order to make sure that we are doing our very best to meet the needs of all of our students and all of our teachers and staff. We must continue that collaborative process. I usually end with kudos, and tonight I would like to applaud, again, Dr. Arlotto, board members, teachers and staff, and anyone who went to the budget to advocate for our students. I congratulate also Russell Leone, the TAC president-elect, and look forward to working with him. And if I may, a commercial. Always have a commercial. Ladies and gentlemen, I invite all of you to come to the North County High School this Friday evening, May 18th, for the North County Concert Under the Stars. Music from Shrek, Apollo 13, The Chronicles of Narnia, Casablanca, The Wizard of Oz, Titanic, and Willy Wonka. They will be performed during the third edition of our North County High School's Concert Under the Stars. Festivities are scheduled to begin at 4 p.m. Food trucks will offer dinner options until 8 p.m. when the concert begins. Admission is $5. The concert will take place on the school's turf field if weather allows. Ladies and gentlemen, in case of inclement weather, we'll go indoors. The concert's theme will be a salute to the cinema, played by 140 band and orchestra students at North County. And I have to tell you, this is the best high school orchestra I have ever heard. Come on out, treat yourselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Silkworth.
Hi, I'm Barbara Allgeier, and I have a 10-year-old son that goes to Hillsmere. And I looked on the Board of Education, the handbook, and it says members are to possess a vision and goals for high academic achievement for all students. The ability to inspire parents and other stakeholders to have confidence in the local public school. The commitment to do what is right for all children, even in the face of opposition. I'm here to come to beg, to plead, whatever I need to do, because we're falling very, very short in our district right here in District 30 at Hillsmere. My son has had some very challenging things. He faced the back wall for 10 days in first grade because that teacher could not control the class. I went to the administration. There's been 3 different administrations in 4 years. Then last year he had a substitute teacher who was abusive to all those kids. My son then went to Monarch because I couldn't keep him here, and I couldn't get him safely to and from Monarch. Okay, there's troubles in 4th and 5th grade in Monarch. He had a great teacher, but I couldn't get him safely there. And I'm here, I hear you talking about stability. There isn't stability. If you take away those 2 teachers from Hillsmere, there's no stability for these kids. I'm sorry, there's not. I'm here to brainstorm with you. I'm listening to what you're saying, that you're here to fight for every student. I think we need to start one little thing at a time. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the Navy SEAL speech on, if you want to change the world, start making your bed. Well, if you want to change the public education system here, start with one little thing. Let's start with Hillsmere Elementary School and stop ripping the school apart. Don't take that teacher away. Let's fight for the teacher. She wants to stay here. She's been there. It can provide some stability for our kids. If not, they're going to go to public school. You're going to have a bigger problem on your hand in the end. Because I have options. I had my child by choice. He doesn't have a dad, it's just me. I bought a house in Broadneck, a condo in Broadneck Elementary School, so that I had options if I wasn't in a good public education district. I'm sorry, but Hillsmere is falling short. You need to open your eyes and come and look. It is falling short. My son said the other day, he's like, his teacher's screaming at him, and he yelled at me, and he's like, Mom, just tell her to stop screaming. They can't operate in the class the way it is. And putting 30 plus kids in a Hillsmere 5th grade is not gonna work. It just isn't. Come and take a look. I'm here to say, I'll help you. I'll go to Steve's shoe and I'll say, look at what you said. You said you're helping the neighboring schools. Well, you're not. You said that this is a great place to bring your kids up and to bring, business and to live. Well, it's not if you can't send your kids to school. If your kids can't get there safely, and if while they're there, they're only being mined because there isn't the teachers don't have the ability to teach there. So that's what I have to say, and I'm willing to help, and I'd love to take this off in another direction and make a meeting. Let's make Chris Tromberger come and, find a solution.
I want to take all that energy, all right? You're passionate. I love it. Hillsmere, I think, is a fabulous place. It's an absolute, kids are great, staff is great, principal's wonderful. Would you do me a favor and take a few minutes to meet with Dr. Kubik, who's our associate superintendent for school performance, and she's going to take some of that energy and move it in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, now we will move on to consent items, award of contracts. Do I have a motion to bundle items 4.01 through 4.17?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now, do I have a motion to move these items from information to action?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Dr. Arlotto, your recommendation.
Yes, ma'am. I recommend that the board approve contracts as listed on today's agenda, 4.01 through 4.17.
So move.
Okay, Mr. Reinhardt.
Thank you, Madam President. So in particular, the single textbook adoption, 4.10 through 4.14, I noticed on each of those that we have fixed pricing over 6 years with annual extensions. For that fixed pricing, does that also include upgraded editions for these texts?
Alex Chekno, Chief Operating Officer. The base texts don't get updated, but the support, so the consumables, the electronic complement to it, the hardback textbook remains the hardback textbook, obviously if there's a RATA issued, but it's the other elements that come with that that do get annually updated throughout the course of time.
Are there any other board questions or comments? Is there any public comment? Okay, all those in favor of approving contracts
Aye.
4.01 through 4.17? Motion
Aye.
passes. Five point zero one is an action item, administrative personnel appointments. Dr. Arlotto, your recommendation.
Yes, ma'am. I recommend the board approve the personnel listed on the attached sheets to be promoted and/or appointed.
Okay. Are there any board questions or comments? Okay. All those in favor? Motion passes. Item 5.02 is fourth quarter operating budget supplemental and fund transfer for FY 2018. This is an information action item. Do I have a motion to move this from information to action? All those in favor? Okay. Dr. Arlotto, your recommendation.
Yes, ma'am. I recommend the board approve the fourth quarter operating budget fund transfer for FY 2018 to be submitted to the county council.
Okay. And we have a presentation.
Yes, ma'am. A brief one. Alex Chekno, Chief Operating Officer.
Matt Stansky, Director of Financial Operations.
And we essentially have two fundamental requirements that we're attempting to discharge here tonight. First of all, we're statutorily required to have a budget as balanced at the end of the fiscal year. The second thing is that in order for us to expend funds, we have to have sufficient appropriation authorities to do so. Annually, we bring a second quarter transfer that trues up the revenues that we've received to date that were previously unanticipated when the budget was struck as of July 1. And now before you is the second complement to aggregate the rest of the revenues that we may have received from other sources, be they state, federal, local, county, et cetera. So the plan is then to recognize those appropriation authorities, allow for the expenditures of those appropriations. Upon adoption of this board, prospectively, it then goes to the county council. The county council then, by ordinance, is also going to have to adopt it because they are our fiscal authority. They're the only ones that can give us the legal authority to expend the resources. So that's the first order of business. And the second order of business then is to balance the expenditures. So again, when we started out July 1, we have a plan on how the expenses are going to fall out across the next 12 months. As in every year, A, because of the additional appropriations, the additional revenue, but B, because of other unforeseen events, there's always some minor adjustments. So this document also recognizes those minor adjustments, those categorical adjustments also have to be approved by the county council via ordinance. With that, we're prepared to take any questions that you may have.
Are there any board questions or comments? Is there any public comment? All right, all those in favor? Motion passes. All right. Item 5.03 is an information item, policy. On policy, emergency plans, policy EH. Second reading. Ms. Ortiz.
Good evening. For the record, Jeanette Ortiz, Legislative and Policy Counsel. With me, we have Alex Sheknovich, a Chief Operating Officer, and Joel Batten, Supervisor of School Security. And so we have Policy EH, Emergency Plans, before you on second reading. We did not receive any public comments on the proposed revisions.
Are there any board questions or comments? All right. Then item 5.04, policy IFA, pre-kindergarten and kindergarten programs. This is also second reading. Ms. Ortiz.
Yes, and so we also have policy IFA before you for second reading. And again, we did not receive any public comments on our proposed revisions.
Are there any board questions or comments? All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, they'll be on third reading at the next meeting.
Great.
Thank you.
And that concludes the May 16th board meeting. The next board meeting will be Wednesday, June 6th at 10 a.m. The next policy meeting is Wednesday, June 13th at 1 p.m. The next budget committee meeting is Wednesday, June 20th, 1 hour before the board meeting begins. And it says ends, but it begins. Mr. Gilliland.
Madam President, I move that the board stand adjourned.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.